One Nation leader Pauline Hanson now joins us from Queensland. Thanks for talking to us again, Pauline. Pretty keen first up to get your thoughts on these revelations about COVID-19 censorship. I mean, this is astonishing. Our federal government's been secretly censoring COVID-19 material on the digital platforms, Facebook, Twitter and the like. They've been doing it for 3 years. They're still doing it. And we're having to jump through all sorts of hoops to find out what's been taken down.
Chris, it does surprise me to hear the information, what's come out, and there was over, 4,217 that have been censored in their tweets and what they've put out. But I've got to say, you know, thanks to Sky and especially your program that did give me a platform, but you were very concerned about what I was going to say, putting my voice, my concerns about the COVID-19 at the time, because you were worried about losing your licence because it was all censored. The same as when I was on Kyle and Jackie O. They were beeping me out. Kyle had no idea till it was brought to his attention. He said, why are you beeping her out? She's a senator. She has a right to have a say. But they've done this all along. Then I got a question, why was it under the Home Affairs? If you've got over 9,000 people that were censored on their comments about terrorism, why did they put it under the same department as what terrorism and COVID-19? Even doctors that I spoke to, they couldn't say anything. They couldn't give their medical opinion. They were in fear of losing their licence, and they were actually struck off the register, some of these doctors, and we've lost good doctors, good health professionals, because we were censored. Why, Chris? I want to know why. Has the WHO, the United Nations, controlled our country, our democracy and our freedom of speech? It's wrong.
Well, in a de facto way, they certainly did, because you're right. We were very pressured here on Sky. I've never had a more difficult time in the media. If you were questioning vaccines or vaccine mandates, based on good scientific information, we were worried about complaints to the broadcasting authorities and the like. And what they would always use, these authorities, as their judgment of the truth, was whatever the WHO says. And as we know, the WHO was hopeless and remains hopeless and in the pocket of China. So it's a real worry. And the point here is that when you talk about Home Affairs, and normally they're there to watch out for terrorism posts, this is where government creeps and expands, because they figured, oh, well, you're watching online for terrorism stuff. You might as well keep an eye out for COVID stuff we don't like as well. So what's next? Is it climate information? Is it voice information? Is it political information?
Chris, what I've said right from the very beginning, I've opposed the COVID jabs and I had my reasons. OK, that was my opinion. But I tell you what, I haven't got very much wrong with the whole lot, my stance right from the very beginning, but everyone was frightened to actually put me on to have my say. As a senator in our federal parliament, I was shut down from having my opinion with this. That's why I've continually called for Royal Commission into the COVID, and you call for it as well now.
Yep, spot on.
So we have to have it. And it's the people of this nation, wake up to yourselves. You have a right to know what the hell has happened here. We have a right to know, to make sure it never happens again. Don't give total control to your governments, who will actually lie to you, cheat you, and this is a democratic, free country. We have a right to know the truth.
Could not agree more, Pauline. Could not agree more, and we'll keep on that case. I just want to go to a couple of other issues now, in particular the visit to Australia by Narendra Modi. I've always been a big, strong supporter of doing more with that relationship with India, because it's such a huge, prospective country. It's a democracy. We've got some shared interests in cricket and the English language and our institutions, so the upside there is huge. But there is a migration agreement struck today between the two governments, which I think that's a good thing, because I think Indian migrants have been very good for this country so far. I have to say that, because my wife has Indian heritage as well. But they are integrating very well into this country. So do you welcome that, or are you worried that this is an addition to our immigration intake?
Chris, I went over to India a few years back with Anthony Albanese at the time, mind you, and it was on a parliamentary delegation. And I got to meet a lot of business people. I tell you what, they are absolutely fantastic how they're moving ahead in that country, and the business attributes are very, very good. And the people of India, and I've got some very close Indian friends of mine. But Chris, I've got to say, they're a hard-working, you know, very good-natured people, and everything's beautiful about the Indian people. But I am concerned, Chris, I don't believe it's the right time to open up our floodgates to this country and bring in, you know, migrants that we don't have the facilities to actually accommodate them, especially when we have over 100,000 homeless Australians. It's about time our Prime Minister, his main concern should be to the people in this country first and foremost before we open up the floodgates, and his promises and deals with other countries. Look after our own people first. I'm so concerned about these people. Now, winter time, even Canberra, you go down the streets in Canberra in the freezing cold, you've got people living on the streets.
Incredible. Homelessness in Canberra, we talked about it last night.
It's disgusting.
It is a worry.
It's disgusting.
Now,
yes.
Pauline, we're nearly out of time. I've got to ask you quickly about your fundraising efforts, the jumpers that you're knitting. You're wearing one right now, I imagine. Where can people get online and buy your jumpers to help fund your legal defence? onenation.com.org, and my jumpers are up there. There's only 7. It takes me up to 60 hours to knit one. So, well,
you know, for what they're bringing, $10 an hour, I'm not over. Thank you, Chris. I hope you like my jumpers.
It's lovely. What I'm shocked about is I didn't know it ever got cold enough in Queensland to have a fire and wear a jumper. But there you go. You learn every day. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. We'll let you get back to your knitting. Pauline Hanson there up on Scenic Rim. Obviously a bit chilly there.